Thank you all for coming, and thank you for Krishanda, the head of our student union, is here today. And so we had, Doug and I had a chat with Krishanda last week, I think, just about where things are going, and we'll have more in the future. So here to talk today about our strategic plan. As Doug mentioned, sometimes strategic plans are not the most exciting topics to talk about, but anytime you're running or involved in an organization, they are key because they direct all of your activities and all of your spending and all those types of things. So we started the process way back in November, about 10 months ago. We had almost completed the process and we're ready to present to our board in late March, and we all know what happened in mid-March. The virus came and we shut things down. So this plan is based on the things that we were thinking on doing prior to the COVID virus. But it's interesting how much of it is appropriate to the virus itself. So the plan it involves a vision statement, like most plans do. It involves six value statements, or values that we feel we hold at the college. And then we're going into the 4 strategic priorities. There are about 17 categories. We're not going to get into those too much, so I'm not going to put you to sleep. But the key takeaway today, it will be our 4 strategic priorities, because that will drive what the college is going to be doing tomorrow, next week, next year, and into the future. So first we'll start with how we got to be where we are. So we had a committee as chaired by Doug and Natalie, of staff from across the college. We started talking to people, and you can see here the numbers of consultations we had. We talked to 1,000 students. We talked to 500 alumni, about almost 300 staff. We went across the province and talked to communities. We talked to our board members. We talked to our foundation members. So over a period of time, we got a fairly good indication of what it is that people who are involved with the college, people who feel college is a central part of what they do, these are the things that are important to you. So we started first, with the value statement and what's our vision. And the 2 key words in our vision are, of course, today and tomorrow. Because we're talking about things today that are going to be very key in terms of tomorrow. All of us are here, all the students are here for one main reason, and that is to get a meaningful job and a meaningful career. And so it's a lot about today. But what we do today inspires what we're going to happen tomorrow and the day after. And our mission statement has got 3 key words in it. One is learning, obviously. One is communities. And the third is prosperity. Because we have learning is key to what we do here at Holland College. We are a post-secondary education institution. We have a number of communities that we respond to. We have the community of students. We have the communities of staff. We have the communities of instructors. We have the communities, geographical communities, Charlottetown, Summerside, Georgetown, Alberton. We have our region. We have our country. And we have all our international countries from where our students come. So we have a number of communities that we have to be responsible for, and learning and prosperity are directly tied to working with our communities. So these are sometimes called the 10,000-foot statements. They're way up there. They give you some idea of what an institution is about. But the real core of this is, what do we as a group of students, a group of educators, a group of community members really believe to be key to what we do? And we have 6 of those value statements. And the first of these, not surprisingly, is innovation. Well, why innovation? We hear all kinds of talk about it. Some of you are a certain age. I think I might be the oldest person, at least I hope I'm the oldest person here. I can remember growing up when I was your age, and this is not going to be a lecture about how tough we were when we were kids, but we only had 2 channels of television and 1 telephone per household. So right now, things are quite different. The world is very different. It's changing dramatically, and we have to keep up with that change. And if we can, stay abreast of the change. So we need to be all about innovation, doing things a little bit differently, looking at things a little bit differently, and acting accordingly. So innovation is one of the value statements here at the college. It won't surprise anybody because we are working closely with industry, and as industry changes, as communities change, we must change as well. So the second value would be applied learning. And if there's one of these 6 values that really speaks to Holland College, it's applied learning. As I said earlier, people come here to study, they come here to get a job. And our programs are designed to make sure when people leave here, they get meaningful work as quickly as they possibly can. And it's all about the applied learning. Yes, some of it can be done in a book, out of a book, and some will be done online, but the majority of our learning has to be people doing things, people learning from doing. And if that's one sentence that describes what we do here at Holland College, it is learning by doing. And the third of these is inclusion. Now, this is a very broad term. If you go back to our college 10 years ago, our college even 10 years ago looks very different then than it does now. And if you go back to our original founding 50 years ago, and this is our 50th birth year, the college started with a handful of programs, and every student could fit into this room with lots of room left over. So we need now to look at how we are changing as an institution and need to make sure that we are open and welcoming to anybody who wants to attend. That means people from Prince Edward Island who couldn't come here before for various and sundry reasons, people from our region, people from Canada, and people from around the world. We have to be much more opening and inclusive than we ever have in the past. And that's the reality of globalization. It's the reality of if I'm here and I want to go there, I need to get some more education. Where can I go? And if we are going to be at the cutting edge of what education is in the 21st century, then we have to be as inclusive as we possibly can. So these are 3 of the key values that we espouse here at Holland College. And the 4th is engagement. Again, if you look at how we developed our strategic plan, we try to engage as many people, as many communities, and as many organizations as possible. We want to be heard. We want to be able to work with communities. And when I use the word community, again, I talk about not only communities of people, like students and staff and faculty, but also geographical communities, industry communities. We need to be able to hear what they're saying to us, and we need to be able to react to that. So engagement is a key value statement for us. The 5th one, and one that's increasing in the news, and one that we all are part of here at Holland College, is the environment. We know from the world around us that the environment is changing, and changing rapidly. We know how it's affecting our province. We know how it's affecting our coastlines. We know how it's affecting our agriculture. We know how it's affecting our health. So we need to be able to look at what responsibility do we have as an institution, and what responsibility do each of us have as a participant in this community towards the environment. So any decision we make, any dollar we spend, has to be taken with the idea that how will this impact the environment, and will it be done in a way that is positive towards the environment. So the environment has to be something that we consider and focus on consistently. And last, and certainly not least, is the whole idea of inspiration. Now, you notice the word inspiration is a value statement for us. The word inspiration is also in our vision statement. It's not an accident. Because the idea that you come here and learn something is important. But what you learn is important, how you learn it is important, and what you do with it is important. So our job here as an institution is to inspire the participants here, not only the students, but our staff and myself and the administrators, to be more than just the sum of our parts, more than just a group of educators, more than just a group of students. So we want to inspire you, we want to inspire us, we want to inspire our communities. We want to get to the point where when somebody asks a question about industry or labor, the first thought is we should call the college. So we want to be inspirational, and we want you to inspire us, and in turn we want to inspire you. So when you look at these 6 statements, innovation, applied learning, inclusion, engagement, environmental responsibility, inspiration, these are the values, these are the ideas, these are the driving force behind where we hope the college is going to go in the next 5 years. Now, it's important to recognize when we talk about a strategic plan that we say this is a 5-year plan. This plan is a 5-year plan. However, we may change it as we go along. We're not going to forego these 6 value statements or these 6 value propositions. What we are going to look at it, what is the best way to realize these 6 values? So, we look then to what is the best way or the most effective way, or how are you going to operationalize or realize these values. So what are you going to do about them? What actually is your plan? And we think there are 4 ways, or 4 methods, or 4 approaches to be able to realize these 6 values. And these are innovative and flexible programming, supports and inclusion, environmental leadership, and corporate innovation. And let me talk just a little bit about these before we go into detail. Of course, when we use the word innovation and inspiration in our vision statements, you have to have some way to realize that. And if we continue to operate the programs that have been successful for us in the past, there's no doubt, but we need to be able to rejig them and move them in a more innovative fashion. So we need to make our school a little bit more flexible, a little bit more accessible to people who haven't been here in the past, so we can accommodate as many people as we possibly can. So that's through innovative and flexible programming. Supports and inclusion. We know that we have many different students from many different areas than we ever had in the past. And unfortunately, we know that many of our students who are coming to the institution struggle. Some struggle with behavioral issues, some with mental health issues, some with mood disturbances. It's a much more complicated world than ever before, and we need to be able to support these students and our staff in ways that we haven't done in the past. The third thing, environmental leadership, we just spoke about that. It's easy for people to say you should change your behavior when it comes to the environment. It's much more important that you be able to lead by example. And what we want the college to do is to lead by example in terms of environmental leadership. We want to show our communities that this is what we're all about. And the last, and in some ways the most important, is that there's a funny thing about change. Everybody believes in change until it applies to themselves. And then it's maybe not so comfortable. For us at the college, it's easy to develop a strategic plan in many ways, but it means that we, and I mean the row we up here, I mean the staff, the faculty, everything we do, if we're going to meet these strategic goals, if we're going to meet these value statements, then we have to do things differently than we've done in the past. So these are the 4 P's, or the 4 pillars, or the 4 strategic priorities that we will be working towards over the next 5 years, and there'll be changes to how we realize them as we encounter some successes and even perhaps some failures, which we'll learn from. So I want to talk a little bit about now what are the details around the manner in which we're going to realize these strategic proposals. So the first of these is innovative and flexible programming. So there are 3 components to this. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to just bring your attention to the very top, the royal purple bar, because that's the key. So the first of these will be innovative programming. Traditionally, Holland College has had 2 groups of students we focused on. The first group is those who are right out of high school, maybe a year or 2 out, and are coming and looking for a job and getting some training to get into the labor market. That's the first group. The second group is a group that suddenly find themselves unemployed. Traditionally, we have done a very good job at dealing with the needs of those 2 groups of people. Now we realize, with the way the world is changing and the way the marketplace and labor is changing, that we need to be able to deal with people who suddenly need to be upskilled or reskilled. Upskilling is when you have a job, your employer brings in a new software, and you need a new set of training. So you're getting upskilled to keep your job. Reskill means you may lose your job because of technological developments, and you need a new skill set. So for us here at the college, if we're going to be helping those people who are recently unemployed, and all you have to do is look around in your neighborhood, because COVID-19 has really struck hard in terms of employment, how can we access these people? Many don't need a year, a 2-year, or 3-year program. Many need a 6-week, or a 3-month, or a 9-month program. So we have to be much more accessible and much more flexible in the future through innovative programming if we're going to meet their needs. So that's the first of these. The second of these is degree pathways and postgraduates. Right now we have about 90 degree pathways. So you're coming into our college and you say, I want to go here and then I want to go there. That's what we need to be about. Our postgraduate work, for example, Doug has brought in, and Natalie have brought in a group of people looking at postgraduate diplomas, people who already have university degrees, who are coming in and studying business analytics and project development. And we'll have a number of students coming into our school in the spring who are focused on these first 2 postgraduate diplomas we're going to offer. There'll be more in the future. We right now, as I said, have 90 degree pathways. There'll be more in the future. The third of these, and perhaps the most important, is teaching excellence. You can buy all the software and all the hardware you want and have the nicest buildings on any campus in the country. If you don't have excellent instructors, you're not really doing what you need to be doing. And often when we do these projects, we spend a lot of money on software and hardware and forget that teachers need ongoing, focused, well thought out professional development. And we intend to make this an instructor-led institution. We want our institution to be known for its instruction excellence. And we want to make sure we do everything we possibly can to focus on this component of our innovative programming. So just to true up, so for our first strategic priority is going to be innovative and flexible programming. How are we going to realize that? We're going to have innovative programming. Our degree pathways and postgraduate will be expanded, and we're going to spend our money, as much of it as we can, on improving and supporting our instructors' development. So they're going to be more engaged, more effective than even they are now. And we are very, very pleased with the quality of instruction we have at our institution now. We survey our staff twice a year. We know how our instructors are doing, and we're very, very pleased. But as we move into more of an online environment, we want to make sure our instructors are given all the support and all the training that they need. Because teaching online is not simply turning on the computer and suddenly put your stuff all on the web. It's much, much more complicated and much more challenging than that. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. So that's our first strategic priority, a first pillar of what we're going to build our college on. The second, not surprisingly, is on supports and inclusion. As I said earlier, we have many, many, many people at the college now who are not from our region, not from our province, not from our country. We need to do as effective a job as we possibly can in recognizing and accepting and dealing with and working with and honoring our other cultures. Also, unfortunately, we have a number of students, and it's a growing number in our society, that are struggling with behavioral problems, alcohol and drug addiction, mental health issues, mood disturbances. And we need to be able to, as those students struggle through their program, we need to be able to support them a little differently. So this supports and inclusions is all about a different population and the things that we need to do differently to support them. So there are three of these. The first thing we're going to create will be a student support center. Now, a student support center created today is not like a student support center that you would have created even 10 years ago or certainly 20 years ago. We have to recognize that there will be people with challenges. We have to recognize that people with learning issues, different cultures, so different approaches and different interventions are going to be called for. But we feel strongly that once our students are here, that we have responsibility to do everything we can to support them. And this, we feel, will be our number one non-academic, if you will, although it is directly integrated with our academic side, initiative this coming year. So, a student support center. Mental health and wellness. Unfortunately, we have a significant support program now at the college. We think we're going to have to continue to expand this. The world is becoming, as you know, much more complicated. I don't have to tell all of you that. COVID-19 has only exacerbated some problems. So we have to find new and more efficient ways to support our students, to get out and find them where they are and help them where they are, so that we can make sure they maximize their potential. Things that you wouldn't think a college would typically do. Food insecurity has come up more recently as something that's a big issue for many students. That's a relatively new phenomenon, but it's something we have to deal with along with the other issues that we've been talking about. So the health and wellness of our students is paramount. We know that we need to do a better job, a more effective job here at the college. We know we need to be more integrated with what the province is trying to do. Doug and Natalie and I met with the Canadian Mental Health Association director just recently, so we're going to be more integrated with some of the programs that they're offering. And we know that the province has supports out there, and we'd like to be a little more integrated with what they're offering. So we want to be, as we said earlier about engagement, we want to be more engaged with the mental health community because it will be in the best interest of our students, we believe. So mental health and wellness. Enhanced diversity. I talked a little bit earlier about teaching excellence. We have people from a number of different cultures right across the world. And the idea that we could teach to one culture or one way of doing things is something that probably is a little bit dated. When we talk about teaching excellence, a big part of that will be diversity in teaching. So how do students from one part of the world respond to this approach versus somebody from another part of the world? And you know, we have about 1,000 students in our LINK program, our Language Instruction for Newcomer program, and we hear from them constantly about different ways, more effective ways to teach, given the cultural background of some of the students. So this whole idea of enhanced diversity is that we need to rethink everything we're doing to ensure that we're doing all that we can to support the students, as diverse a population as we possibly can. So these are the three, these are the four issues, and the fourth here, in terms of is our Indigenous relations. We have done, I struggle to kind of describe how we've done it, because we've done it on an individual basis. As each Indigenous student has come with a concern, we've addressed that. But we haven't really taken a critical look at how the college responds to our Indigenous partners. I was just on the phone with our Indigenous partner this morning about a project we're going to be doing. So I think we have to do a much broader and deeper job with our whole institution than we have to this point. Rather than trying to do it in a one-off way, I think we have to spend more time and effort with our Indigenous populations, and in particular, more varied ways in terms of instruction and reaching out, rather than waiting for the Indigenous populations to come to us. So I think this is another way we're going to realize this particular strategic plan. So go back to supports and inclusions. Our Student Support Center will be the first way we're going to do this. Our mental health and wellness focus, and again here we're trying to create a milieu approach where the whole school is involved, enhanced diversity in all the things that we do, and a much more effective reaching out process to our Indigenous partners. So that is strategic priority number 2. The third is environmental leadership. Now, the building you're in here, it's a little ironic. When we did the renovation here, we found asbestos in the building, and so we managed to deal with that. But as you renovate and deal with these older buildings, and certainly Josh would be well aware of this, you find surprises that you hoped that you didn't find. So this building has been renovated 2 years ago with a view towards a much greener environment. So we looked at the windows, the walls, the roof, the whole component, the whole envelope, to make sure it was as efficient as we could. A year before that, we did an analysis of our cast building. We had our program go down there and look, and we said to them, if you can find savings here in energy, we'll give you half to the program. And much to our surprise, it was a brand new building. They found all kinds of problems. So there has to be a different approach to climate leadership. A carbon emission every 5 years is something we want to do, but we also generate a lot of food waste in our culinary center. We use a lot of plastic utensils. We want to look at those things as well. So we want to take the lead in the institution, because we're asking you as individuals to do things, then we have to take a similar approach. So the climate leadership, green innovation. We want to be, we work very closely with industry. And it's really a big part of where we're going with new programming. Will be broader and deeper integration with industry for our students, for you people. And a big part of that will be you're taking the green message into some industries that perhaps are not as green as they could be. So we want to make sure that we inspire them as well. The transportation impact, for example, we have students who come to us and then they can't find a way to some of their campuses in Alberton or Georgetown. We want to be able to find a way to make that a much more efficient way to transfer our students, rather than everybody just taking their car. And of course, with the bike lanes going up near the college, we want to be involved with that as well, which means you may have to make some structural changes to the college in terms of bike racks and showers and those types of things. So transportation impact. And the built environment. This is what we have created, and we are maintaining. So are we creating and maintaining things the way we should be? As I mentioned, the renovations we did in this building, the renovations we did in the TCC, the Tourism and Culinary Center, were all done with a view to the green economy. It was an expensive proposition, but it was the right thing to do, and we're going to continue to do that. So everything from heating, lighting, the unglamorous things around the green environment, turning off the lights, closing the windows when they're supposed to be closed, turning down the thermostats, those types of things. They're little things, but they have a big impact. So the environment will be our third strategic process. And the last, and in some ways the most challenging, will be our corporate environment, because this is where, as they say, the chickens come home to roost. When you're talking about change, this is the change that we are committed to doing. So I'm talking the we here, the three here, and others, that we need to do things differently. If we're asking our staff and our instructors and you to do some things differently, then we have to do the same thing. So we have to be more responsible as a corporate group. And the first one of these would be applied research. Now, our applied research group, they can meet in a phone booth. There's only 3 of them. And we're doing an awful lot of work right now on food, on healthy foodstuffs. We want to move into some more applied research. We want to integrate our bioscience technology work with our Canada's Smartest Kitchen. We're looking at marijuana, not using marijuana, but we're looking at using the CBD and THC in terms of creating healthy foodstuffs. So maybe we can create cookies that help relieve anxiety, for example. We're looking at that. We're also looking at the use of THC. It affects driving and shooting at the police school and the Marine Center. So we want to expand our applied research profile, work a little closer with industry on that, and see what we can come up with. Right now, the applied research, we're probably 36th in the country, measuring against all the big and small schools. When we measure just small schools, we're number 3 in the country. So, as I said, kudos to Natalie and Sean, and the office is right down here. You could walk by it and not miss it because it's not very big. But so they're doing a lot of great work thus far, and we want to expand this. Technology. I know that, and I've talked to a number of students recently and last year, and some of the students say, I don't like that much learning online. You're all about applied, and that is true. But what's happening so dramatically in industry is that every industry, regardless of the industry, is now focusing on how can I solve my labor issues with the use of technology. So we'd be remiss in a college if we weren't preparing you for the world of work and labor. And a big part of that one now is the need to use technology. And now, how you learn has become as important as what you learn. And the fluid and easy use of technology to learn is almost a prerequisite for a job, no matter what you do. Even our tradespeople and welding and machinists now are using technology to learn because they know that's the way it's going to be in industry. That's the way it is now in industry. So using technology in the learning process, but also the using of technology, for example, to recruit you to the college, those of you who came to the college through our recruitment process. Doug just brought in a new software that helps us track our students and lets a student know who's applying to the college, this is where you are in the application process. And it's a new approach. We're moving away from the painstakingly paper and pencil entry of data to using the technology. It's better for our staff, certainly. A bit challenging because people like to do things the way they've always done them. But that's no longer the case. So the employment of technology to further all our work, not on the instructor side, is something that we're committing to. The third one is employee development, retention, and succession planning. By any stretch, by any way you measure it, our college is a very good place to work. We measure things like how much time sick leave people take and how much time stress leave they have, and how many people apply for our positions here at the college. And we have no trouble attracting high-quality employees. As a matter of fact, what we learned through the virus when we were put to the stress test, if you will, that we've got a lot of great staff in the right places. So we're very happy with that. But we want to make sure we can hang on to our staff. They feel healthy, they feel engaged, they feel heard. And so to do that, we have to actually plan. That doesn't just happen by accident. So our employee retention, we have now, for example, people who have been working from home for 6 months. How do we deal with that as a college? If it's in the best interest of the students in the college, is there anything wrong with that? So that's not something we thought we'd have to deal with this quickly, but we're dealing with it now. So the use of making sure our employees feel engaged, feel like they're accomplishing things, feel like they have a say is very important. Marketing communications, you can't move to dealing with new types of people unless you find new ways to market. And I think our staff, you've seen those ads on the internet, on television, hear them on radio. If you go to washrooms around the city, in a bar, restaurant, you see our signs there. Holland College is everywhere. And even when we brought in our masks, they're great advertising tools because people say, where'd you get that cool mask, right? So for us, we have to look at how can we enhance our marketing. So if we're going to be engaged with a diverse population, we need to have a different approach to marketing, in addition to the things that we already do now. So constantly thinking and rethinking, how do we engage, how do we find out, how do we reach out to those people who don't think they could come to the college or don't feel there's a way they can be there. So enhanced marketing and communications. Fiscal planning accountability, the single biggest benefit to a strategic plan is it tells you how to spend your money. And at a college like ours, where we spend probably $70 million a year, money's always tight. There's always various and sundry ways you can spend it, but your strategic plan is not only a blueprint for where you need to go, it tells you how you need to spend your money. And for us here, a fiscal responsibility, we've had to be fiscally responsible. We're not by law permitted to run a deficit, so we can't start the year and say, oh, this year we're going to lose $2 million. We can't do that. We have to drive to our budget each year. It's very frustrating sometimes for staff, very frustrating for students when you don't have the things you think you might need, but that's just the nature of what we're doing. The last one here is perhaps the most important, because we want to measure student success. And for us, student success is measured in two ways. Did you have a good experience here at the college, and did you find a job when you graduated? So we're measuring those two things now. As we move into this new 5-year plan, we want to continue to measure those in maybe a little different ways. So we, as you know, those of you who have been with us for a while, we survey you twice a year, and we act on the results that we get. So we're going to continue to do that, but we want to make sure every time we ask you something, we ask our staff something, it's for a good reason. And we want to make sure that every nickel we spend, every penny we spend, is spent furthering these strategic priorities. That's what this is about. So I'm going to end there on a comment. This year at Holland College, this past year, has been like no other year. We started with a hurricane, Dorian, that affected a lot of us here in the room, a lot of our students, both here and around the world. We got halfway through the year, and we ran into problems in China. And many of you may not know that we have about 2,000 Holland College students in China in 12 partner schools. So we started seeing a deterioration of our relationship with the Chinese government, being Canada, the United States, and China, and it made our work over there a little more challenging. And then in March came the virus. So if we thought the start of the year was bad, the end of the year was even worse. We're very optimistic this year, cautiously optimistic that this year we won't have those things happen. We think we're prepared to get all of you through this academic year. We know we're prepared. We've taken every precaution that we can possibly take. But what we need from what we're hoping to do over the next little while is make sure all of our staff, all of our students, all of our faculty, and our communities are aware of what we're trying to accomplish with the new strategic plan. We're optimistic that we've heard from you, we've heard from our staff, we've heard from communities, and this is what we've heard, and most importantly, this is what we are going to do. So that's a commitment that Natalie and I and Doug make to you.